Yeah. I'll see you on Friday. I'd like to welcome everyone today. My name is Amadeo Loria. I go by Deo, like the Banana Boat song, Deo, Deo. I am the Department Service Officer of the American Legion Department of Maine. The genesis of this event today started back in December when I happened to be walking in to attend the a medal awards ceremony here. The governor was kind enough to present the medals for Mr. Town, who hadn't received them since Korea. As I was walking through the front door, I met the John Morris, the Commissioner of Public Safety, and he said, "Come with me, I'm going to take you to the governor's office," because he knew that I was involved with this exemption of military retirement pay from taxation in the state of Maine. I've been up twice to testify. And I was so pleased to hear that the governor of the state, our great governor, has decided to take this up in his budget. So I'm not going to say a lot of stuff. I'm a 30-year veteran, served in the Army, both enlisted and officer. I taught school here in Maine for 10 years at Old Town High School. As a matter of fact, Jim Campbell's son was in my class for 4 years. Now he's up at University of Maine. So I have strong roots here. I'm here because my wife is here. What makes Mama happy makes me happy, usually. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our governor, Paul LePage.
Thank you all. Basically, we've been saying this for months, that our budget is intending to eliminate the income tax in the state of Maine. And we're starting off with military pensions and the death tax are the two initial issues that we're going after. And basically, Ann and I both feel a debt of gratitude to all our military veterans. And she's not here this morning, but she made sure that I told everybody, thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your loyalty to our country. It is because of you that I can run around and say anything I damn feel like saying. And I appreciate it. Take advantage of it. There's a good reason why we started out with the military pensions. Number one is there's going to be traction in the military nationally, where the difficulties in Iraq and Afghanistan are coming down to an end. There's going to be a downsizing in the military, and there are going to be people that are going to be retiring from the military. And so it was our intent to, one, lower the age or the median age of Mainers by attracting retirees between the ages of, say, 38 and 45 or 46 years old to come to Maine and start a second career. You start a second career if you're not overly taxed with your retirement. There are 9 states right now that have no income tax whatsoever. There are another dozen or so states, or maybe 20 states, that have benefits for retirees. I think it's very important for a state that is number 2 in the nation for the number of veterans in that state that we can afford to eliminate the income tax. Not only to our military, but to all people in Maine. But we have to start somewhere, and we started where we could make the quickest impact. The whole purpose of this budget is very simple. If you look around the country and you look for the states that are most prosperous, you look at the states that, I just come back from Florida, and one thing you see is a lot of cranes, there's a lot of construction going on. But they all have one thing in common. They don't overly tax their citizens. And so this whole plan is the state to have a sales tax, the communities to have a property tax. And that's how you can make your way and try to eliminate the income tax so people have more money in their pocket. Now, the one thing that I have been hearing, I find it somewhat disappointing, is an awful lot of elected officials around the state have been saying the governor's taken away our revenue share. Well, first of all, folks, for the record, The revenue sharing has not been taken away. The revenue sharing is in the budget. But it's going directly to the taxpayer rather than to the communities. The communities are concerned about their community. The governor is concerned about the people who live in those communities. And that's where my mission is to lower the tax on Maine people. We overtax them, we over-regulate them, and then when they get old, we put them in nursing home and don't fund them. That's what we've been doing. I find it offensive, and I think that we need to start taking care of our military, our elderly, our disabled, and those afflicted with intellectual disabilities, and we have to be forthright in doing so. And we got to stop playing these silly little games that we play about revenue sharing. Revenue sharing is fine, but if you look at it this way, $62.5 million of revenue sharing versus $1.2 billion of income tax. I think if you ask the Maine people, we'll give you back $1.2 billion, would you help the communities with $62 million? I don't think you'd have too many complaining. And really this is what it's about. And I am very, very proud to say that I can stand here and have the military behind me in fighting this fight. We're bringing this to the people. This is not a battle that we're going to win in the town councils or annual meetings, but we will win it with the Maine people. Whether you do it this year or next year, this is a war we're going to win, because this is a war worth fighting for, and this is a war that these veterans have put their all out to win, to live a good life. And we want to be, not only bring back Maine's people to Maine, but I want to bring back other people to Maine. We are in a state right now where we have more people dying than being born. And of those being born, 8% are addicted to drugs. Inappropriate. So we need to put our money where our mouth is and bring back those who can help us build a prosperous economy. And so with that, I'll open it up for questions and fire away, and I get the military behind me.
Governor, do you know, have you a rough number of how many people in Maine currently would fall under this, would be able to be tax exempt on their pensions?
8,000 pay, you're saying 8,000 are paying income tax?
Those are
Ma-
the filings, yeah.
I know that there's more than that in Maine.
12,000.
Yeah.
12,000 change.
Right, it's about 12,000. And we have probably 10% of our population, maybe a little more than 10% of our population are veterans. And frankly, we ought to be proud. And we're number 2 in the nation. Number 1's Alaska, and they have no tax on their military, for the record.
Governor, is there an estimate in how much this new exemption would cost the state and give back to these veterans? How much money are we talking about?
I don't see it costing the state. See, you folks come up with that. I see is returning money that is due, that really belongs to these hardworking taxpayers, and that we have taken it for the last several years, and now we found ways where we don't need it, so we're going to return it.
Duly noted, but how much money are we talking about?
It's $1.2 billion in all, because I'm looking at the entire income tax that's being received by the state, and we're doing it in 3 steps. This particular one is a little over $300 million. This budget, per year, by the way.
I'm interested in your comment about we're going to get it done, whether we get it done this year or next. What do you mean by that?
I have 4 years, and my goal is to do 2 things, folks. 1 is to eliminate the income tax, and 2 is to lower the cost of energy. And the people upstairs can be with me or they can be against me. But that's what I'm doing for 4 years. I have 4 years to do it. This is the first year. And believe me, that when I talk to people around the state, when we go to town halls, the people, I would say between 70 and 80% of the people approve of eliminating the income tax. It's just, I have to convince 181 upstairs.
Governor, we have David Patch here who's going to talk a little bit about his experience, if it's okay with you.
Sure. Absolutely.
Good morning, fellow veterans, fellow retirees, welcome home. My name is Commander Dave Patch, U.S. Navy retired. I was asked to talk today as an example of a typical retired person's life after the military and our potential contribution to a state. After graduating from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1966, I spent most of my military career aboard ships. The last 5 years, however, were spent on the staff of the Office of the Chief of Naval Operations in the Pentagon, assigned to the development of advanced naval ship technology. So when I retired in 1986, at 42 years old, I started a career in the development of new technology with ships applications. In the early 90s, I was part of a leadership team for a startup company that developed underwater propulsion technology for the Navy. Following that, I again was a partner in another small startup company developing the controls for Navy applications. In 1996, I moved to Maine to be near my elderly parents. My dad, an MIT graduate, retired to Booth Bay Harbor after a long, successful business career. My first efforts in Maine was with the Maine Science and Technology Foundation, where I had a National Science Foundation grant that allowed me to assist small technology companies in Maine find federal financing to move the technology into products. This effort eventually turned into today's Maine Technologies Institute. In the late 90s, I again was on the leadership team of the Mid-Coast Maine developing technology for marine navigation to support requirements for the Navy. That technology is being used by the Navy today. Following that effort, I partnered with others to start a company in Mid-Coast and Southern Maine that developed high-power lasers to weld steel for ship and commercial applications. This technology is being used on the USS Zumwalt, the Navy's newest ship being built by Bath Iron Works. Last, I led a leadership team developing remote source lighting for the Navy. This fiber optics delivered light and lens system is also being used on the Zumwalt. I ultimately retired in 2010. This is all just part to point out that retired military personnel spend 20 to 30 years developing leadership, management, technical skills that bring capabilities to industry, small and large. They help companies be successful and thus create jobs and further contribute to the state's economy. Retired military personnel in Maine have senior management, supervisory, technical positions at BIW and other large Maine companies. They own and have leadership positions in small companies. They are in our legislature and on our government, local and state staffs, and they lead nonprofit organizations. Retired military personnel have pensions that allow them to be more entrepreneurial. Retired military typically have older children that don't have significant impact on the educational system. Retired military often are part of the civic organizations and nonprofits who volunteer time to support many local and state communities. Retired military are often part of veteran service organizations such as the American Legion, VFW, DAV, and many others that also support our communities. Therefore, attracting retired military personnel to the state of Maine will have a significant positive impact on Maine's economy. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Sir?
Any questions? The point here is that the military not only protect us and allow us to keep our liberties and our freedom, but they have an awful lot to add and to give back when they can come home. And I think that we can have our veterans start new businesses, join existing companies, and as you heard, there's a few smart ones in there. Could invent a lot of stuff. No, I think it's just really good that we look forward and we try to bring back those who were born and brought up here, but now live in other states. And more importantly is when they come home, bring some of their friends home, because, you know, people's really, truly vote with their feet. And I've said it a million times, you know, investment capital goes where it's welcomed, it stays where it's appreciated. Well, the same thing goes with our veterans. If we bring them home, we appreciate them, we work with them, they can add an awful lot to our economy, and we don't have to tax ourselves into a problem. See, we even have John Morris still working.
Thank you for the recognition.
Governor, thank you very much. David, thank you for sharing your experiences with us, and thank you to my fellow Legionnaires and other retirees in the state who've come here to rally for this initiative. Like I say, this is the second time that I've been up here, so hopefully third time's a charm. Thank you very much.